Special? This car is so special I feel like I should have had to sign a waiver just to breathe in this thing. You want to talk about special? Madonna got tossed around on national television in what's probably the most iconic automobile commercial ever filmed in this car. Do you know how legendary that is? Well, not this car exactly. This car is unarguably better than the car they used for the film, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. This is not the first time I've screamed about this car on the internet, yet I guess I'm not screaming loud enough because somehow this car is still available to buy. Maybe, just maybe, the universe is trying to tell me that I'm actually the one who's supposed to take this car home. Welcome to the E39 BMW M5. This car gets me excited in ways I probably shouldn't share publicly. But I gotta tell you, I could barely sleep last night knowing that I was gonna have the opportunity to come in here today and break down this very car for you. If you're a BMW person, then the E39 M5 generation is already a glorious machine for you in general. But the example I have in front of you right now, it's hotter than most European beaches with no dress code. Anyway, the E39 became the third body style that BMW slapped that legendary M5 badge onto. First was the OG, you know, the E28 M5, introduced in the 80s, powered by a straight 6-cylinder engine. Next was the E34, produced through the early 90s, again powered by a straight 6-cylinder motor, which was now a power plant layout BMW had clearly made a name for themselves with. And then late in that beautiful year of 1998, someone was at BMW and they were working late. They were looking to bring more personality, more power, and more performance in order to catapult the company to new heights as the world was ready to enter into a brand new century. The E39 BMW M5 was introduced in early 1999, and it was the first M5 ever to be powered by an 8-cylinder motor. That's right, this big block of Bavarian juice is known as the S62 B50. We're talking about a 4.9-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine that utilized variable valve timing on both the intake and exhaust sides of the block. Plus, this car was constructed of an all-aluminum head. Alright? Let me relax. Let's keep it business. No more science. Out the factory, this engine made 395 birds, which means that this car was the most powerful BMW M car that money could buy at the time. And it had enough torque to dig up dinosaur bones straight out the pavement that it rested its wide track rubber on. A deep, fire-breathing dragon-like exhaust note shot out the back of these M5s all the way up to its almost 7,000 RPM redline. And here's a taste of that. But we'll definitely get to more of it later though. The E39 BMW M5 was sold in the United States from 2000 through 2003, and each year BMW made some minor tweaks to the platform in order to make it better. However, in 2001, the most dramatic of those updates occurred. You could clearly see aesthetically the changes that BMW had put into production. Alright, now that you're up to speed on the E39 M5, I'm going to talk about this specific example, which is looking at me more explicitly than the late night TV programs your parents used to put passwords on back in the day. This is a model year 2000 E39 M5, and it's painted in Alpine white. That's a color you don't come across often when dealing with these cars, and it gets even better on the inside. It sits on gunmetal gray style 65M factory BMW wheels that have some beautiful concavity and are wrapped in some modern Michelin gloves. It's got a set of Dynon sports springs which give it a more aggressive, lowered stance, and obviously also help to improve on a lower center of gravity. This car has been programmed with Dynon engine management software, which means that it probably pumps out a little more than that factory rated 394 horsepower. I mentioned before that these cars received a heavier facelift in the year 2001. Knowing that, the previous owner of this model year 2000 car actually went ahead and got all of those facelifted components and threw them onto this car, which means aesthetically, this car lacks nothing that the E39 M5s that came after it had from factory. That overhaul would include these facelifted LED taillights as well as the clear European specification headlights. Also unique to this car are these AC Schnitzer period correct extended side skirts and rear diffuser. Some people were actually whining online that this car had some non-reversible add-ons, but the truth is, AC Schnitzer components are true to the period of life that this car comes from. It was something that all the cool guys put on their cars. So to actually find AC Schnitzer parts on cars as clean as this today is actually pretty rare. and in my opinion should be celebrated. This example has also been fitted with what I believe are Eisenman headers and a valved Meisterschaft exhaust system, and it sounds absolutely positively intoxicating. Check this out. First, I'll show you what it looks like with the valves closed. And now open. Enjoy. This is a very serious interior, and you may not understand how serious it is, so what I'm going to do is try to explain to you the severity of this situation through the passion in which I'm about to speak. Let's get vulnerable together. This is one of the most incredible interiors that you'll ever lay your subpar eyesight on in your life. On M cars of this generation, you got a gray-faced instrument cluster that was stamped with that energetic letter M. There's also these blank boxes on the rev counter, and that's what BMW calls a variable rev counter. It lets you know how far out you should draw the revs depending on the temperature of your vehicle. And once they disappear, that's the car's way of letting you know that it's up to temperature and ready to be freely revved up to almost 7,000 RPMs. Now onto this leather. It's smoother than the tuxedo on James Bond, more intimate than a hotel room on Valentine's Day. You simply will never see an interior like this one on a modern car. This two-tone combo, on a scale from 1 to somebody call the paramedics, is a straight give me CPR. Do you understand how rare the black and Imola ostrich two-tone leather seats are? Let me help you understand. The interior of these M5s could have been had in one of two ways. One of them looks like this. The other is what they call the luxury package. The luxury cars had all wood inlays in what they call heritage Napa leather in either black, caramel, or a very rare color called English green. Very gentlemanlike. Now the more sports-oriented setup looked something like this. You had two-tone leather seats. The inlays were either brushed aluminum, some sort of gunmetal gray, or possibly even piano black. Most were black on black. Many of them were Silverstone on black. Few of them were Le Mans blue on black. But close to none of them were Imola red on black. I already told you that the Alpine white exterior paint puts us in a rare class when it comes to these E39 M5s. But this Imola interior takes things to a whole different ballgame. One reason for that is because they simply just weren't selected. However, 9.8 times out of 10, if you do see an Imola red interior, the exterior paint is also Imola red. Again, Alpine white over Imola is so rare that right now you're pretty much looking at Santa Claus right in his eyeballs on Christmas Eve. And he's getting ready to slide a fresh pack of Calvin Klein underwear down your chimney. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is understood that just three examples of the E39 BMW M5 were delivered to North America spec'd in Alpine white over Imola leather. You are looking at a straight BMW historical unicorn. Do I make that clear to you? Anyway, back to the interior. This one has been updated with carbon fiber trim pieces in the door cards, the dashboard, the center console, and even the manual handbrake. This being a year 2000 pre-facelift car, this should actually have an older style looking steering wheel that you would find in the last year of the E36 M3. Like the rest of the car, the previous owner decided to install a facelifted steering wheel. However, this one is actually better than BMW's OEM wheel because those wheels have this soft leather that looks almost plasticky. This is a much thicker, bolstered, perforated leather unit. The last facelift I'll talk about in this video, outside of the plastic surgery miracles they're performing down in Miami, will refer to this media system. In 2001, the car's got a larger screen. And this car has been updated with that larger screen, but it gets better. The owner actually put in an aftermarket unit that looks like the factory unit, but it has modern amenities like Bluetooth and CarPlay that you would use in a year like 2025. Outside of what this car is in general, I think the reason I'm so drawn to it is because of its history. The previous owner not only went through the trouble to make a pre-facelift car updated with facelift items, but he went the extra mile to make those items even better than they came from BMW's factory. You have to adore that attention to detail. Underneath the media system, you really only got two important buttons. One is DSC, that turns traction control off, which gets this rear-wheel drive unicorn loose, like a pair of unbuttoned pants. And then you got the sport button. That makes the throttle response a little quicker and puts a little weight inside the steering wheel for more precise handling. So if you got both those buttons locked down, you're pretty much all hands on deck. This thing is a straight weapon. This car has a short shift kit, and it has a more modern weighted illuminated knob, plus AC Schnitzer pedal covers to amplify the manual transmission experience. I almost forgot to mention, the E39 BMW M5s only came with a 6-speed manual transmission. And that is important because the two generations that followed this M5 had the option of a 6-speed manual where it was very rarely ever selected. And then the generations that followed those made it extinct, which means you can no longer get a BMW M5 with 3 pedals. Alright, I talked about the exterior and I drooled over the interior. That means that it's time for the best part. The Meisterschaft magicians have blessed the ears. Oh my gosh. Back in the day, you could have been a dentist, a lawyer, a doctor, and you could afford BMW's M5 sedan. It had 4 doors for your family. I'm gonna be honest with you though, I don't know if I have family members I want to drive in this car because all I'm going to hear is, slow down, you're going too fast, and why does your car sound that way? Listen to this. Do you hear that downshift? This car is the real deal. Do you hear that? The steering wheel is so thick. That sounds weird to say out loud, but it is. I can't help it. All of the upgrades that the previous owner did to make this car livable and up to par with the other facelifted models, he exceeded that. This thing sounds like a rocket ship. A rocket ship that's about to blast off into Mars. This is an Alpine White, Imola Red, BMW Bavarian rocket ship is what it is. Short shifts. Downshifts sound like thunder. The weatherman said it was going to be cold out. He said nothing about lightning. It's a short shifting machine and it feels phenomenal. Weighted steering wheel. We got the sport button on. That was the problem. Feels like it just opened up. I don't know if that had... Oh no. What have we done? What have we done? No lights on the dash. 25-year-old car. You go get a new car today, it's going to have Christmas trees light up. This thing... nothing. And unless big screen TVs from Best Buy are your thing, I can't really wrap my head around the idea of why you would spend so much on a new version of this car when you could have one of these. If you want a rear-wheel drive BMW with a manual right now that has 4 doors, you're looking at the G80 M3. G80 M3 is not a naturally aspirated V8 that sounds like this. I don't care what exhaust system you throw on that car. It's also going to depreciate because it's a brand new car. And it also costs more than double what someone was willing to bid on this car. This car's only going to get rarer. That car's not. If you drive a Ferrari, you drive a Porsche for the weekend, and then your daily driver is this? They're supposed to be driven the right way and appreciated, because that's the way that these cars are supposed to be had. They're not supposed to be cooped up somewhere with low mileage for specs that you can find anywhere. They're just not. They say old is gold, but I'm gonna say that classic is magic. You're not gonna get this experience on a brand new car. You're just not. It's not that raw or visceral anymore. Whoever gets this car next, I hope you enjoy it as much as I just did for the last 5 minutes. This is a special, special, special sports car. And there you have it. I think that everybody is wrong about this M5. You've seen it yourself. I've been smiling the entire time I've been here. You would think that I was standing next to Kendall Jenner for the day. This exact car is for sale with Ryan Friedman Motorcars here in New York, who have so honorably let me work with this car today. Just recently, this car was put on Bring a Trailer, where it fetched around $45,000 after fees. Obviously, that number was not enough to break the reserve because it's still here. Now, this is one of the rare times where I 100% stand with that result. And the reason I say that is because this is a car far too special to fetch a number that low just by looking at the market. You got people saying this is all the money or the market is this. And in my opinion, all of those people are clowns. Respectfully, here's why. There has been E39 M5s that have crossed 6 figures. Many have landed in the $70,000, $80,000, and $90,000 range. There is absolutely, positively no reason that this car should not also be there. A 2003 carbon black over luxury caramel leather is a spec that you can come across often in the field of E39 M5s. But one sold recently for 80 grand with just 18,000 miles on the clock and a bad Carfax. Final model year 2003 car? I'm with you, worth a premium. It has all the updates from the prior years. But a bad Carfax isn't. And I don't think that spec is too special either. Car had low miles though. 2001. Emola red painted 8,000 mile example over black luxury leather, grabbing a massive $101,000. Had low miles though. 2002, 26,000 mile Le Mans blue over blue example, sold for $101,000 as well. Very rare color combo, not as rare as this one. Low miles though. My point is, I believe that the E39 M5 market is artificially propped up exclusively on the glorification of low mileage. And to me, that's a flaw in the market. Check it out. When people realize that a car is special like this one, naturally what they do is try to find the lowest mileage example because they feel like they have an investment opportunity on their hands. And therefore, they're willing to slightly overpay for one. And over time, I believe that to be a bad strategy because two things can start to happen. The main problem, once you start to drive those examples, the value of them plummets hard. It's almost as if you bought an old car and treated it as a brand new car all over again. And the second problem is that once all the low mileage examples are pretty much bought, the owners start looking at each other like, all right, now who has the best of the low mileage examples? And that's when people start paying attention to what actually matters. And that comes down to specification. Also, on the flip side, all of the driver E39 M5s that are available, people are looking to buy the most unique version of those. Again, spec. This M5 has a more unique specification than any of the cars that sold for double the money than the final bid that this car received last month. With less than 60,000 miles, this car still has mileage low enough to be considered collector grade for a 25-year-old car. However, that mileage is also high enough where if you do choose to drive it, you're not going to lose a ton of value in terms of money, again, because the spec is going to save you. And in my opinion, more importantly, you actually get to enjoy this car for what it was designed for, the ultimate driving experience. And that's why, in my opinion, this is the best E39 BMW M5 that's available for sale in the country right now. And so, for the life of me, I cannot figure out why someone who's much smarter than I am, and obviously has much deeper pockets than me, hasn't absolutely stolen this car yet for a number in between what Ryan Friedman Motorcars is asking and that $45,000 bid that this car got last month. Did I forget to mention that the engine in this car is also in the BMW Z8? Those cars sell anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. Alright, well, that's my piece. The E39 BMW M5 is a fantastic, undeniable, modern classic sports car. Many feel that it's the greatest BMW to ever wear that historic M5 badge. And I'm happy that I was able to share this special example with you. In 2025, my goal is to bring you 2 videos on special cars like this one every single month. And I'm only really telling you that so that you hold me to it. With that being said, my name is Anthony. You can catch me every single day at Whistle Motors on all social medias, and I'll catch you on the next one. Big Whistle.